Shery, the distinction here of getting to an October 30 election, what will you study in the coming 2 days?
We are watching right now the poll numbers very closely because, Tom, of course, we have seen a massive underestimation of Bolsonaro's performance when it came to the first round of elections earlier this month. So now the key question is, in a country where you cannot rely on pollsters, what do you watch? Well, really, they're trying to account for no-shows because Lula tends to get hurt when abstention rates are high. His base of support really coming from low-income voters that are more likely not to show up. So we are now seeing, when it comes to Datafolio, the latest numbers that Lula's lead has actually widened to 53%, which is higher from last week, which is really interesting because this week Bolsonaro's momentum is fading.
Is the public engaged? We've got a massive turnout in the United States for a midterm election. We all know the history of the U.S. presidential election. How much are the people of Brazil engaged?
There is a depolarization here in Brazil. And of course, when we talk about Latin American politics, we're not really necessarily talking about right and left, which of course have defined lots of elections around the country this year, but it's really about pushing back against the establishment in a way. So we have seen that engagement quite low in the first round, Tom. One of the lowest voter turnouts, about 20%, the lowest since we've seen in the 1980s. But right now, everything is getting heated. We have seen even violence last weekend with one of Bolsonaro's allies getting into a gun battle with police. So there is a lot of interest right now on the ground.
Shery, you mentioned that it's more anti-establishment than it is normal party lines in the same kind of way. And this isn't just Brazil. We're seeing this around the world, including in the U.S. and elsewhere. How much do you see this stemming or being exacerbated by the economic place that we're all in, and Brazil as well, at a time when people do feel like they are being unfairly penalized by inflation? They're not able to keep pace. How much is that the undercurrent of this polarization for anti-establishment and trying to keep the status quo a bit more?
It has been a really interesting few months, Lisa, because as we were coming to this election, not surprisingly, President Bolsonaro tried to ramp spending, really extending those social welfare packages for low-income voters, trying to lure Lula's support base to his camp. Lula, on the other side, has been really emphasizing the economic prosperity during his 2 terms in office since 2003. Of course, the caveat was that he was enjoying really a huge commodities boom. But that has been really the undercurrent. Perhaps a silver lining in Brazil. Remember, the central bank here has been aggressively tightening, preemptively tightening. They're right now holding rates steady. So what does this mean? Perhaps a good economic mix for Brazil, where you have higher rates, you have commodities exporting industries that can really withstand perhaps the higher yields globally that we're seeing right now.